Alright, so I'm going to talk to you guys about rate of change. Rate of change is something that we discussed after we learned slope, because rate of change is slope. So I'm just going to abbreviate here. Rate of change is slope. Now you're probably wondering, like, why don't we just call it slope? The reason is because when we refer to it as rate of change, we are talking about a word problem. So you actually have units, and it's not just, rise over run on a graph. We're saying maybe it's so many miles per hour, or it's so many dollars per apple. So rate of change is just the slope. That's all it is. So we still use the letter M. It's still y minus y over x minus x. But what you guys did with this was not the graphing that you did the unit before using rise over run, but we compared the rate of change of different items. And the way that you compare rate of change is by looking at the number in the slope. All right, so things that we need to talk about. If your rate of change is positive, then it's increasing. So if M is positive, then the rate of change is increasing. Oops, sorry, not on the screen. If the slope is negative, then your rate of change is decreasing. So whether it's positive or negative tells you the direction. Okay, so what I'm saying is that whether your slope is a positive number or a negative number, that's going to tell you the direction of the rate of change. So this will say the sign tells you direction, meaning up or down, increasing or decreasing. All right, so that's important. All right, now, when we actually look at the number, that is going to tell us whether it's strong or weak. So what I mean by that is that if your slope is, let's say your slope is 7, and then on another question, your slope is -9. Okay? This one is increasing. This one is decreasing. But this one is the greater rate of change because 9 is larger than 7. So even though this one is decreasing, it's still the greater rate of change because the number, the value, tells you the strength. The sign tells you the direction. All right, so just a couple more to look at. Let's say that, let's say that you had slopes of, I'm sorry, off the camera. 1/2, let's say you had a negative slope of 2/3, and then let's say you had another slope that was 1. All right, if you were asked to rank these, the greatest rate of change is this one. This one is the greatest rate of change. And that's because when we look at 1/2, 2/3, and 1, this is the largest. All right, the smallest or the least rate of change is going to be this one. So this is the smallest rate of change because 1/2 is the smallest when you compare these numbers. Now remember, this negative right here tells you direction. So we know this one is increasing, we know this one is decreasing, and we know this one is increasing. But just because it's decreasing does not mean that it's the lowest rate of change. We're going to look at the number to get the value.